Okay, intervention trends. What are some of the most common things taking place today? And it's everything from floor time RDI, and we'll get into some of the most common ones here in a second. Holding therapy, again, it's that deep tissue comfort that they have. Vitamins, special diets, medication, swimming with dolphins, verbal behavior approach, pivotal response training, the Lovis model, which was where they modified B.F. Skinner's version of behavioral training, decompression chambers, all different types of elements. Now, the most common ones that are used today, the first one is applied behavioral analysis, which is understanding the behavior, understanding the environment, how the environment interacts with the child, how the child either contributes to or takes from this in an environment, and based upon those elements, help streamline or change some behaviors. Remember, every behavior that is modified or changed has to be replaced with another functioning behavior. You cannot leave a void there for the child. Pivotal response training. PRT teaches, again, language, decreases disruptive or self-injurious types of behaviors. Pivotal response training is a little bit different from ABA in the sense of it's a component or form of, but PRT really focuses on only what are considered to be the important behaviors relative to the child. So they focus on the social, communication, academic skills, the critical, or again, the pivotal behaviors. Some of the challenges with, I'll step back here for a second, with applied behavioral analysis that you will hear is that ABA is a form of mind control. ABA is a form of pigeon control. They use that as structured modification as they did back in the 50s and 60s through punishment and rewards, etc. That has all changed. There's the Board of Behavioral Analysis, which regulates all people now that do behavior analysis work through a certification requirement, as well as a code of ethics that is required even through the APA. There's a certain section that focuses on the ABA that says these are the requirements that you must complete from an ethical standpoint on what you can and cannot do with interventions. The pivotal response training is great. The challenge with this particular one is that you are focused a lot on what the therapist finds as the pivotal important behaviors that need to be modified. So again, as a parent or as a professional, if you have parents using PRT training for their child, it's extremely important that they are very, very involved with the behaviors that are chosen as pivotal behaviors. You want to make sure that it's encompassing as much of the child's behavioral repertoire as possible, relative not only to what the therapist feels is appropriate. Floor time. It's a therapeutic technique based off the DIR, difference relationship model. This is really kind of back from the 1980s. This is still pretty common today. And what they're actually using is a methodology of actually spending time on the floor with the child and teaching the child on the floor through whatever activities the child is actually doing. So it's not so much of a structured guided intervention, but more along the lines of an intervention which the child leads the therapeutic session and the therapist actually follows along and does what they call incidental teaching. So as an event happens, they teach through that event relative to a structural environment where they teach prior to the event. So you see that. Relationship developmental intervention. This is a serious intervention that is very similar to ABA in which it utilizes the positive reinforcement. However, it focuses only on 6 dimensions, and that's emotional, social, declarative, language, flexible thinking, rational, informational processing, foresight, and hindsight. So again, it's not so much focused on the environmental components, it's not focused on the child actually leading the therapeutic session. It's going to focus on these 6 particular dimensions to help develop the pathology of the child as it actually works through. So those are kind of the interventions. What does this look like for us? What does the future look like when it comes to the spectrum? What are we working towards? Well, there's a 1% increase of the population of children in the U.S. Averages age of 3 to 17 have are on the autism spectrum. Prevalence is estimated now at 1 in 110 births. So again, the numbers are coming down, going back a few years from 1 in 150 now to 1 in 110. If you start looking at some of the literature out there, they're suggesting that there is a possibility that the prevalence is going to get even higher. And as the prevalence continues to grow, as professionals, you're going to find that you will get significantly more individuals, whether adults or children, that are actually on the spectrum. So knowledge is something really important for us to gain at this time to understand this population more and more. It's the fastest growing disability. The rate is 1,148%. So as you can see, it's really kind of moved up. On an average, it's between 10 and 17% growth annually in our population. And you're looking at about a $60 billion annual cost to provide services. Cost of lifelong care can be reduced by 2/3 with the early diagnosis of the disorder. In 10 years, the annual cost will be between $200 and $400 billion is what they're estimating. Again, we're going into an entire new transition with this population, and it's important for us to recognize the sooner the better to get them more help, but also we have to start looking as professionals in the mental health world. This population is coming very quickly towards us as adults. We need to be prepared at some point to deal with them as adults as well. You'll find that autistics, Asperger's, Rett's, PDD, NOS, all those, they are very, very talented in specific skill sets. So for example, those adults that have Asperger's, they don't do well in social environments. However, if you can get them and continue to build their skills in computer networking, you find, and it's been shown, a lot of Asperger's are extremely successful as being distance database managers where they can call in, take a phone call, and go fix a computer via online, and you're good to go, and they have a full-blown career. The cost of autism over the lifespan is considered to be about $3.2 million per person. Think about that, $3.2 million per person. From a financial standpoint, that's pretty high, I would suggest. Autism outweighs, from a financial aspect, cancer, diabetes, and some of the other chronic diseases that you see out there from a financial standpoint. So again, there's a huge push to bring awareness to these particular disorders and how they will actually affect us in the future. One of the fantastic things that has happened for the young children here is Governor Rick Perry on the 19th of 2009 passed House Bill 451. House Bill 451 requires all insurance companies to actually carry, again, this is private insurance, carry health insurance for children of 10 years or younger. What they were finding is a lot of people were going to insurance companies and saying, I need assistance with my child, I need my health care to cover it, and they will say, autism is an educational disorder, therefore we do not cover education. So I'm sorry, we have no financial support we can provide to you. Through a lot of work that a lot of groups have done, specifically the autism groups, they have managed to pass this bill now. And this is fantastic because it's really going to support a lot of people that previously could not get support from an insurance standpoint. And I believe the maximum that is paid out is, the cap is at $50,000 a year for services. So it does significantly help. And that's it for me. I thank you guys for your time today and allowing me to speak.